Oh, okay. You guys are ready? Okay. Let me know when we're good to go. All right. I guess we're live streaming. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the 2020-2021 DDF Showcase. It's a little bit different this year, as you can probably tell, but we're all very glad that you guys could join us. I've got the kids dancing awkwardly out in the hall, and we're going to actually have them come on in a minute here. But before we do, I'd just like to say how incredibly proud I am of this team. This is not the year that most of us expected we were going to have. Certainly for our seniors, I'm sure this isn't the senior year that they had planned, but they all rose to the challenge. We have been performing virtually all year. They have learned how to radically change the format of this event. They've adapted, they've overcome so much, and they've just really worked harder than I've seen any of them work in the previous years. Life got harder, and so did they. And so we really just wanted to kind of have a moment to celebrate and show all of you guys what we've been working on so hard throughout the year. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome in the Haines DDF team of the 2020-2021. They're being very shy, but they're coming in very slowly. You guys can come in, come have a stand. I'm sure people are applauding out there in the cyberverse. And there they are. They are small, but they are mighty. And luckily, it just so happens that fate was on our side this one time, because a couple of days ago, their medals came in the mail. So I'm going to start handing out some swag so you can, this is actually a first where the Haines community gets to watch the medal ceremony happening live. So first up, just making it to the state tournament is worthy of recognition. So here is the State Champion Participation Award for Eli Williamson, Hannah Boron, Zela Miramontes, Sally Chapel, and Stella Ordonez. And moving on, taking 6th place for humorous interpretation was Stella Ordonez. Here's her certificate. Taking 3rd place for humorous interpretation, Eli Williamson. And taking 2nd place for humorous interpretation, Hannah Boron. Moving along, we have a 2nd place award for solo acting for Stella Ordonez. We have a 4th place for extemporaneous commentary. They happen to send you a 2nd place medal, but that's just between us and the cyberverse, so you can just tell people in the future that you took 2nd. We have 2nd place for duet acting for Hannah Boron and Eli Williamson. And for 3rd place in Reader's Theater, we have Zela Miramontes, we have Eli Williamson, Sally Chapel, and Stella Ordonez. So we're going to have the kids go away now, and when they reappear, they are going to be wearing their swag. It may or may not make them look like South African generals, but that's just because that's how much they won. All right, so these guys are all going to go off and be watching live with you. The only person staying with us will be the lovely Eli Williamson. He's going to start us off with his HI. Break legs. He's going to put on his medals now, so we're just going to vamp for a little bit.
I don't think so.
No, it's going to be too heavy?
I'm going to be everywhere.
Oh, okay.
They're just too heavy.
It's just too heavy.
I have too many.
He's got too many. Well, while he's doing that, while he's not putting them on because they're too heavy, we are going to be doing something that normally doesn't get to be celebrated live. But because she's worked so hard, Sally Chapel is going to be doing for you an extemporaneous commentary. How that works is, we have some topics for her here. I'm shuffling them. She is going to draw 3 of them. Thrilling theater, I know. She's going to take a peek at what they are. Can you read them out loud for us?
I have cancel culture, Internet trolls and babies.
Okay, which one are you going to be giving us a speech on?
Cancel culture.
All right, she's going to go away, and in about 20 to 30 minutes, she will be back with a speech on cancel culture. And without any further ado, Eli Williamson.
Okay. Shout out to my Florida grandparents. Thanks for watching this. Love you guys. Okay. Way back when I was just a little bitty boy, living under the stairs in the corner of the basement of the house, half a block down the street from Jerry's Bake Shop. You know the place. Well, back then, life was going swell, and life was just peachy. Except for the undeniable fact that every single morning, my mom would make me a big bowl of sauerkraut for breakfast. A big bowl of sauerkraut every single morning. It was driving me crazy. So I said to my mom, "Hey Mom, what's with all this sauerkraut?" Well, my dear, sweet, innocent mother, she looked at me like a cow looks at an oncoming train, and she leaned right down next to me and she said, "It's good for you." And then she tied me to a wall, stuck a funnel in my mouth, and force-fed me nothing but sauerkraut till I was 27 and a half years old. That's when I swore that one day I'd make it out of this basement and travel to a magical faraway place. A place where the sun is always shining and the air smells like warm root beer and the towels are oh so fluffy. Where the Shriners and lepers play their ukuleles all day long and anyone on the street will gladly shave your back for a nickel. Well, it wasn't very long before all my dreams came true, because the very next day, the local radio station was holding a contest to see who could correctly guess the number of molecules on Leonard Nimoy's butt. I was off by 3, but I still won the grand prize. A first-class, one-way ticket to Albuquerque. Hi, my name is Eli Williamson, and this is Albuquerque by Al Yankovic. You know, I'd never really been on a real airplane before, and I gotta tell you, it was great! Well, I did have to sit between 2 large Albanian women with excruciatingly severe body odor. The kid behind me kept throwing up the whole time, and the flight attendants ran out of Dr. Pepper and salted peanuts, and... Oh yeah, 3 of the airplane's engines burnt out, and we were sitting to a tailspin, and we crashed into a hillside, and the plane exploded, and everybody died! Except for me. Wanna know why? I had my tray table up, and my seat was in the full upright position. Oh, so I crawled. I crawled from the twisted burning wreckage of the plane for 3 full days, carrying nothing except my leather suitcase, my garment bag, my tenor saxophone, my 12-pound bowling ball, and my lucky autographed glow-in-the-dark snorkel. Till I arrived at the world-famous Albuquerque Holiday Inn, where the towels are oh so fluffy. Oh, and you can eat your soup right out of the ashtrays if you wanna. It's okay, they're clean. So I check into my room and I turn off the AC and I turn on the Spectravision, and I'm just about to eat those little mints they leave on the pillows that I love so very, very much. When suddenly there's a knock at the door. Who could that be? Who is it? No answer. Who is it? No answer. Who is it? They're not saying anything. So I get up and I open the door, and just as I suspected, it's some big fat guy with a flock of seagulls haircut and only one working nostril. I hate it when I'm right. So anyway, he barges into my room and he grabs my lucky snorkel. And I said, "Hey, you can't have that. That snorkel's been just like a snorkel to me." He's like, "Tough." I'm like, "Give it." He's like, "Make me." I'm like, "Okay." So I grabbed his leg and he grabbed my esophagus and I bit off his ear and he chewed off my eyebrows and he took out my appendix, so I gave him a colonic irrigation. But to cut a long story short, he got away with my snorkel. But I made a solemn vow right then and there that I would not rest, I would not sleep until the one-nostriled man was brought to justice. But first, I decided to go buy some donuts. So I got into my car and I drove over to the donut shop and I walked up to the man behind the counter and he said, "Yeah, what do you want?" You got any glazed donuts?" "No, we're out of glazed donuts." You got any jelly donuts? No, we're out of jelly donuts. Oh, you got any Bavarian cream-filled donuts? No, we're out of Bavarian cream-filled donuts. Oh, you got any cinnamon rolls? No, we're out of cinnamon rolls. Oh, you got any apple fritters? No, we're out of apple fritters. You got any bear claws? No. I'll go check. No, we're out of bear claws. In that case, what do you have? All I got right now is this box of 12 starving, crazed weasels. All right, I'll take that. So he hands me the box and I walk over to the counter and I open up the box and immediately a bunch of weasels jump out of my face and start gnawing out my eyes like, oh man, they were going crazy. Oh, they were going nuts. They were tearing me apart. Oh, I ran out to the street and started running like a constipated wiener dog. Oh, and it was just at that very moment that I ran into the love of my life. Her name was Zelda. She was a calligraphy enthusiast with a slight overbite and hair the color of strained peaches. I'll never forget the first thing she said to me. She said, "Hey, you've got weasels on your face." Ooh, that's when I knew it was true love. We were inseparable after that. We ate together. We bathed together. Oh, we even shared the same piece of mint-flavored dental floss. Oh, the world was our burrito. We bought us a house and had 2 beautiful children, Nathaniel and Superfly. Oh, we were so very, very happy. But one night, Zelda turned to me and she said, "Sweetie Pumpkin, have you considered the prospect of us sharing the same bed?" And I said, "Whoa, slow down there, sweetheart. I don't think I'm ready for that kind of commitment." So we broke up and I never saw her again, but that's just the way things go in Albuquerque. Actually, things started really looking up for me after that. I finally achieved a lifelong goal of mine. That's right. I got a part-time job at the Sizzler. I even made Employee of the Month when I put out that grease fire with my face. Yeah, people were pretty jealous of me after that. I was getting a lot of attitude. So like this one time, I was out in the parking lot trying to get rid of some excess earwax with a golf pencil, right? And this guy Marty's trying to lug this giant sofa up the stairs. So I say, "Hey Marty, do you need any help with that?" Well, Marty just rolls his eyes and says, "No, I want you to push me down the stairs." All right, and I did. But then he gets all indignant on me. He's like, "Hey man, I didn't actually want you to do it. I was just being sarcastic." That's just great. How was I supposed to know that? I'm not a mind reader, for crying out loud. Say, that reminds me of another amusing anecdote. This one time I was walking down the street and this homeless guy came up to me and said that he hadn't had a bite in 3 days. Well, I knew what he meant, but just to be funny, I took a big bite out of his jugular vein. Well, then he starts bleeding and screaming and yelling at me. I'm like, "Hey man, don't you get it?" But instead he starts rolling on the sidewalk, bleeding and screaming and cussing everywhere. Completely missing the irony of the whole situation. You know, some people really can't take a joke. Oh, where was I? Kind of lost my train of thought there. I guess it's kind of a roundabout way of me saying this, but kind of the moral of this whole story that I'm trying to tell is that I hate sauerkraut! That's all I'm really trying to say. Hey, if you wake up and find yourself in an existential quandary filled with loathing and self-doubt and racked by your pitiful, meaningless existence, at least you can find a small bit of comfort in knowing that in this giant, crazy, mixed-up universe of ours, there's still a little place called Albuquerque. Thank you. Oh, Now, Stella solo.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Let me know if Are you gonna stay? I mean, I'm just checking.
I can leave. Yeah.
I mean, whatever is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You ready?
Hello, my name is Stella Ordonez, and this is Forensics Nightmare by Deborah Karczewski. The piece that I will be presenting today is an original oratory entitled The Psychology of Fashion and the Modern Teen. A common misconception today is that how one dresses indicates how one sees him or herself functioning in society. But I beg to differ. I believe that the way in which one dresses is actually a statement about how one wishes to be perceived. For example, is a person clad in all black truly a gothic personality, or might he or she really be a timid soul who wishes to be seen as an intimidating force? Let us consider the latter scenario. This point of view is aptly described in the following quote by Dr. M. Robert Goomer, who said, okay, wait, I know this. Honestly, I must have practiced this like 20 times last night, and I knew every single word. This point of view, aptly described by Robert M. Oh, now you're looking at me. Yeah, you judge lady. For the past few minutes, you've been staring at the posters behind me. You know, I'm perfectly aware that the diagrams of an army of sperm swimming towards one puny little egg are a lot more interesting than I am. But come on! I'm up here busting my butt trying to impress you, and your eyes are glued to the sex ed show behind me. You know, there ought to be a rule about what rooms they can use for these stupid forensics contests. Like no room can be used that might be a distraction for the judges. Or the only people who can judge are those who already know about the birds and the bees. No, don't say a word. Don't you dare interrupt me. I still have time. I still have what, like 5 minutes? Yeah. Don't you dare take my time away from me. It's mine. I worked so hard. I spent weeks writing and rewriting my original oratory, and then when my pain in the butt coach edited it like a scribbling maniac, I rewrote even more. And then I memorized for weeks. It doesn't come easily to me. You know, not like Clarence Darrow over there. Yeah, the kid that went first. I mean, who does he think he is anyhow? With his perfect suit and his preppy tie and his hences and his dusties. I mean, please. I bet it was a snap for Lawyer Boy to learn his original oratory. And every single stupid competition, you guys pick somebody like Clarence Darrow over there because he's so squeaky clean, so la-di-da. But how about for once picking somebody who's had to sit through hundreds of these contests and just see everyone win except her? Huh? Oh, I know. It's not if you win that matters. It's how you play the game. Baloney! You want to tell me that all these people are here today to just sit for hours, to sweat like pigs, to listen to their stomach acids churn, to watch an endless train of people recite their boring speeches because they like to play the game? Oh, no, I know. Rejection thickens the skin. It builds character. It prepares you for the real world. Ba-lo-me. If rejection thickens the skin, then I must be a freaking armadillo by now. It builds character. Character? Look at me. I'm having a nervous breakdown in front of my speech competitors. In front of Clarence Darrow. In front of the first judge who's ever listened to a word I said, despite the fact that I'm standing in front of a sexual egg attack. How is any of this supposed to prepare me for the real world? Am I going to look down at my patient on the operating table, take one step forward, and begin my original oratory? Oh, and don't give me that line about speech competitions are a wonderful way to make new friends. Because not 10 minutes ago did that girl over there in the blue skirt, yeah, the one that looks like a supermodel, not 10 minutes ago did she come over and decide, to chat with the competition. And she begins asking us all where we went to school. And when it was my turn to answer, I said, Chesterville High School. And Miss Priss over there just puts her nose up higher than it already is and goes, never heard of it. Hello? This is Chesterville High School. We're hosting the competition. And do you want to know the worst part? I don't even hate you guys. I should hate you. It would make things a lot easier, but I don't. Not even Clarence Darrow, not even Miss Nose in the ozone layer. I don't hate any of you. And you know why not? Because I want to be just like you, I want to be confident and self-assured. I want to be able to dress for success and not feel like I'm in somebody else's body. No, sit back down. I still have time. At the very least, you owe me that. It's just not fair. Why can't I do those things? Why can't I write a speech that would make my judge say, I have never read anything so perfect? Why can't I make my audience cry with empathy and shake with spontaneous laughter? Why can't I walk and talk at the same time, for heaven's sake? You saw the beginning of my speech. I'm perfectly aware that my gestures look stiff and contrived. I should. Those words have been written in every single judge's critique that I've ever received. The psychology of fashion and the modern teen. What a lame title, isn't it? And you want to hear the irony? It doesn't matter what I wear, if I dress like a lawyer wannabe or a supermodel or a goth or a grunge or even a clown. It wouldn't make an ounce of difference. I'd still be me. I'd still try so hard to be someone worthwhile, someone important. But I'd still just be me. Oh, well, that was a tad embarrassing, wouldn't you say? Okay, I think that's all I've got to say. So, thank you. Thank you. And next we're gonna have Hannah Boron with her original oratory. So, thank you.
Yay. Okay. In frame. It's good. Cool. Right. Okay. Thank you everybody for coming who has come. It's awesome to have you guys here and we're really glad to showcase this stuff for you. Without further ado, here we go. I'm going to ask you a question. I know these novels can be a little niche, but I'd like you to see if you can recognize them. Ready? Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. How about Mark Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn? Do any of them ring a bell? The answer I'm looking for is yes. Considering you just listed some of the most well-known literary pieces of all time. Needless to say, these classics are familiar to us all and hold a dear place in our collective memory. Whether we encountered them in English class or discovered them on our own meandering through the stacks of a local library, these books have taught us all valuable life lessons. And yet, these are among some of the most challenged and banned books of the last decade. Hello, I'm Hannah Boron, and this is my piece, The Right to Know and the Right to Read. You heard me right. Many such pieces of literature sit sandwiched on the shelf of shame amongst books like Captain Underpants and 50 Shades of Grey, off the shelves and out of the hands of readers. Understandably, you probably don't want 50 Shades of Grey in your school's public selection, but why did the classics of Twain and Steinbeck also get the boot? Why did the staple English class books like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Lord of the Flies, and 1984 still get so much criticism? Well, the reason is simple. Controversy. Whether it be a criticism of government, a commentary of racism, or a spotlight on the struggles of sexuality, the conflicts within popular banned novels serve as direct portals to heavy subject matter. They cause us to question everything we know, our beliefs, ourselves, our perspectives, and can flip someone's entire world on its head. Thus, it seems natural to want to withhold these books from young adults. Teenage minds are tumultuous, impressionable, and prone to emotional extremes. To expose young minds to such heavy subject matter would be a recipe for disaster. At least, that's what some people think. I, however, challenge that notion. In fact, I believe the heavy nature of these books is the exact reason why they should be in young hands. They encourage young minds to challenge their own thinking, to confront difficult realities, and to progress as civic-minded young adults. And the classroom provides an optimal environment to do that. We've learned the value of controversial literature from the past. Literary censorship extends far, far back in our history. Unlike today, where book banning is done in a somewhat civil fashion, people in the 1600s decided to skip past the dialogue and go straight to burning everything. Well, not everything, but definitely the books they deemed most foul. In 1650, William Pinkin, one of the most rich and important men in Massachusetts, published The Meritorious Price of a Redemption, a criticism of Puritan theology. The people of Boston found his critique so controversial that it's believed that the general court didn't even read it all before telling the town executioner to burn all of the copies. Only 4 copies survived the destruction that day, and the New World's first book ban was born. 2 centuries later, the censorship of literature became exponentially more popular as time progressed. Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass, banned in 1881 for explicit language. Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, banned in 1859 for introducing the theory of evolution. Margaret Sanger's The Woman Rebel, banned in 1915 for educating on sex and women's rights. A Farewell to Arms, Brave New World, Animal Farm, The Jungle, Invisible Man, the list goes on and on. But where do we see these books now? Where do we see these works, once ridiculed for their radical and skeptical nature, today? I'll tell you. We see them in our history textbooks. We see them in our science textbooks. We see them in English class, universally praised by generations for their progressive impact on the world. The pattern is undeniable. Though deemed inappropriate in their own time, modern hindsight serves as a lens for us to see these books for what they truly are, champions of enlightenment. Laurie Halls Anderson wrote, "Censorship is the child of fear and the father of ignorance." If these authors hadn't questioned the world around them or shone a light on societal problems, many issues would have remained unnoticed, unrepresented, and unacknowledged. Instead, people who read them were given the opportunity to examine their own lives and say, what should be done to change the world for the better? An opportunity stolen from those who can no longer find them in their libraries. In April of 2020, the Matsu School Board was presented with a motion to remove several books from their high school English curriculum. One of these was Catch-22 by veteran Joseph Heller. It was challenged for its military language, misogyny, racism, and violence. Another book was I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, an autobiography that goes through the life of its author, Maya Angelou. Those who wanted it banned argued it had an anti-white message and that it was too sexually explicit. With these factors, it seems like the logical choice would be to remove these books from the list of approved curriculum. However, judging these books by those labels undermines the purpose of their existence. Catch-22 details the brutality of war from the perspectives of multiple airmen and challenges the notion of war as heroic. Their experiences highlight many evils, but for the opposite purpose of condoning them. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings shines a light on the racism Angelou suffered growing up as a black woman and the hardships she endured after being raped. These novels address bitter realities that are still prevalent today. You may be thinking such books are still too intense for classroom use. Understandably, parents may also share this concern and be uncomfortable with their children being exposed to such topics. But in the real world, life isn't pretty. According to a study published by the Department of Health and Social Services in 2017, 24% of Alaskans have had 2 to 3 adverse childhood experiences. 20% have had 4 or more. Sexual abuse, racism, violence are problems students do, unfortunately, face in their lives. These books provide the means to teach young people how to process these difficult realities and learn from the mistakes and experiences of others. Also, the classroom offers a safe and academic space for young readers to explore these controversial themes of literature. In a classroom, you don't have the constant negative barrage of information you receive from the media or outside of school. Instead, you have a controlled environment in which you can have the hard conversations that lead to understanding, growth, and change. Gaining awareness and building understanding through critical thinking will help foster a generation of compassionate human beings who seek to learn before they seek to fight. Keith Oatley, a cognitive psychologist at the University of Toronto, found those who read more literary fiction score much higher on empathy tests than those who don't read as much. They're more willing to consider others' backgrounds, problems, and perspectives, a practice that has become increasingly endangered. According to studies conducted by the Pew Research Facility, modern-day Americans have become radically polarized, especially under the influence of the relatively new phenomenon, social media. The vast network of partisan social media has manipulated people to believe that their ideological, racial, and religious identities are synonymous with their partisan beliefs. This prevailing attitude confines our nation to a fixed mindset, one that must be red or blue, but never both. With the once unshakable definition of we the people being challenged by the towering threat of we the parties, our nation's future looks bleak. However, with the salvation of literature, it is not. While social media presents what it wants its users to see in a never-ending onslaught of misinformation, books do not. The nature of literature, unlike social media, invites contemplation, reflection, and deeper understanding. As author Judy Blume once said, It's not just the books under fire now that worry me. It's the books that'll never be written, the books that'll never be read, and all due to the fear of censorship. As always, it will be young readers who are the real losers. We cannot afford to silence the voice of literature. These books contain not only the wisdom of the past, but the means to foster a hunger for new knowledge. In a world of chaos and division, students deserve the gift to learn from these books so they can navigate life and strive for a better future. Next time the conversation of banned books comes up at your community school, will you protect this gift? We deserve the right to know, and the right to read. Thank you! Yay! Thank you so much, guys. Next up, we have the famous Sally Chapel here to do her ex-com.
Will this be good?
Do what you need, dog. I'll work around you.
Alright, so I'm going to be doing my XCOM now, and it's really cool to have this opportunity to show people what XCOM is like. And if anyone out here is thinking about doing DDF and they are less acting and more speaking, XCOM is a really awesome event, and I think if you're interested, it's awesome to try it out. When we think of cancel culture, we tend to think of things like the internet, celebrities, and scandals. This is what cancel culture is in the modern day. But cancel culture goes beyond the individual celebrity. It affects everyone. Hi, I'm Sally Chapel, and today I'm going to be talking about cancel culture. First, I'm going to be going over what cancel culture is and the effects it has. What cancel culture is an individual usually a large individual, commonly on the internet, being called out for their actions. And on the internet, there's a common course of things that happens after this. The first step is that someone is called out for their actions, and then they usually take a break from the internet to ignore it or grow from this. But on this break, they get a lot of criticism and hate comments on their comment channels. And when they come back from this, they have an apology. And these apologies vary from genuine to a way to simply get out of the harm without learning. And after the apology, the actions can vary. Someone can either continue creating content on the internet, stating they've grown and learned and they can move on from this, or someone takes a longer break to grow and learn in themselves. And once we get to this, it makes people think about the effects that this idea has. This is how we get to the effects of cancel culture. It has both positive and negative effects. The positive effects are that someone is called out for a negative action of theirs, and they have to grow and learn from that. And this is a time when people can change positively and educate themselves for the better. And they can use their platform while they educate themselves to help educate others and lead in the right direction. Because celebrities have such a big following, what they're gonna do, other people are gonna follow with. And we can see this, and when we see this, we see a positive change in society as a whole. But sometimes people don't use their platform for good. And when they're called out and they come back for their apology is only a way to get them out of trouble, without fully taking responsibility and growing from their mistakes. And when they do this, people are seeing the example that it's okay to not fully grow and only think about yourself. And with these positive and negative effects, a lot of them revolve around the other people in the situation. Because cancel culture doesn't just affect the individual who's being canceled. It affects everyone who views their content. Because people viewing content are susceptible. And when you're susceptible, your mind can change based on the people you're following. And if the person you're following is telling you that what they're doing is what they did wasn't good, you'll grow and learn. But if the person you're following, their apology is that never addresses it and puts blame on other people, you can view that that's the good thing to do. Cancel culture as a whole is a way of taking accountability. But it's really, really complicated, and we can see many effects on the individual and their viewers. Thank you. And next up, we're going to have Azella performing the DF.
Yeah, someone's standing up.
Is that good? You okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Isela Miramontes, and this is Out of the Dust by Karen Hess. When I point my fingers at the keys, the music springs straight at me. Right hands playing notes sharp as tongues, while the smooth, buttery rhythms back me up on the left. It's the best I've ever felt playing piano, hot piano, with Mad Dog Craddock and the Black Mesa Boys. This is heaven. Arlie Waterdale says that Sunny of Sunnyside shouldn't take me out of school more than twice a week. When I told Ma, she said I couldn't do it. She doesn't like the music I play, but me and Daddy have been trying not to bug her for what it might do to the baby if we don't. I know she doesn't like the kind of music I play, but sometimes I think she's just plain jealous when I'm at the piano and she's not. Whatever the reason, I do as she says, but I glare at her back with a scowl, foul as Maggoty stew. When I told Ma that our school scored highest in the whole state and I scored top of the 8th grade class, she nodded. I knew you could. That's all she said. I knew you could. She was proud, I could tell, but sometimes I wish she'd give me a little more than I knew you could. Instead, she makes me feel like she's just taking me in like flannel drawing the line. August 1934. I got burned. Bad. Daddy left a pail of kerosene next to the stove and Ma, thinking it was water, picked it up to make coffee, but instead of making coffee, Mom made a rope of fire. She tore across the kitchen as it burst into flames, screaming for Daddy out the porch door, and I tore after her, but thinking about the pail in the bone-dry kitchen, I ran back and grabbed it and threw it out. I didn't know. I didn't know she was coming back. I pushed her to the ground and tried to beat the flames out with my hands. I tried to save her, to save the baby, but I couldn't do it. Ma got burned bad. Someone called for Doc Rice and he tended to Ma first. When he came to me, he cut the skin away from my hands with scissors, and it hung in crusted strips. He cut away the skin from my hands and poked it with needles to see if I could feel anything. He bathed my hands in antiseptic. Only then the pain came. Daddy put a tent over Ma so nothing could touch her skin. What skin she has left. I can't look at her. It doesn't even have a face. I can't recognize her. Daddy brings her water in the pail and drips it into her mouth using a cloth. She moans whenever the baby moves inside her, day and night, and I wish the dust would cover my ears so I couldn't hear her. Daddy found the money that Ma squirreled under the kitchen threshold. It wasn't much, but it was enough for him to go and get good and drunk. He went out last night while Ma was still outside. I tried to squeeze the cloth into her mouth, but I couldn't do it. It hurt the blisters on my hands. Mom moaned and begged for the water that ran into the sores on her mouth. She moaned and begged for the water that would not soothe her throat. And all the while, my father was in Gaiman, drinking. November 1934. My father's sister came to pick up my baby brother, even as Ma's body cooled. But he died before she could get there. She wouldn't even hold his little body. When she saw that he was dead, she had to talk with my father and then turned around and went back home. The neighbor woman came and they took my baby brother and put it in my mother's arms. We buried her on the rise, the one that she liked. The women scrubbed death from our house, but I stayed in my room on the iron bed, listening to their voices. Billy Joe threw the pail, they said. An accident, they said. They didn't say anything about my father leaving the pail of kerosene next to the stove. They didn't say anything about my father drinking himself into a stupor while my mom begged for water. They only said Billy Joe threw the pail. My father stares at me. When I sit across from him at the table, while I wash dishes, my back to him, the picked and festered bits of my hand in agony. He works long hours with the electric train when they can use him. My father wipes his eyes the way I do, with the palms out. Ma never did that. And he wipes the milk from his upper lip with the thumb and forefinger. Ma never did that either. My father stares at me. Maybe he's looking for her. He won't find her. I look like him. I stand like him. I walk across the kitchen with that long-legged walk of his. But if I could somehow see her in my face, if I could somehow know that Ma and the baby lived on in me. But I can't. I'm my father's daughter. January 1935. Each day before class starts and each morning before it begins, I make my hands work. Through the agony, through the pain, I make my hands play. I've played my best piece 1,000 times till my arms sob because Thursday night the Pals is having a contest. We could use the money, but it's the playing I want, the proving I can still do it. I have a hunger for more than food. I have a hunger bigger than Joy City. I want eyes to shine and tongues to tie at me like they do at Mad Dog Craddock. But I know they won't. Not with my hands all scarred up, looking like the earth itself. But I figure, if I play right, maybe they can look past my hands, and maybe they could feel all right with me, and then maybe I could feel all right with myself. I did play like a cripple. Not that anyone would say anything, but my playing's no good. My hands are no good. If Daddy ever goes to see Doc Rice about the spots on his skin, maybe I can ask the doctor to do it about my hands. But Daddy isn't going, and I fear we're both turning to dust. If Ma could put her hand on my shoulder or rub my hair back, making those soft, reassuring noises that no matter how sharp or brittle the world seemed, no matter how sharp or brittle she seemed, she was still my Ma, who loved me. Then maybe I wouldn't be so eager to go. August 1935. Hayden and I's wife Fonda died the other day. The cause of death was dust pneumonia, but I think she couldn't go on without her man. When Ma died, I didn't want to go on either. I don't know. I don't feel the same now. Not exactly. I see that every day goes one measure at a time and you get through it. I want to go. Not die. I not like her. But I want to go. Out of the dust. November 1935. I've been playing half an hour each day, making the skin stretch, making the scars stretch. I'm getting to know the music again, and it's getting to know me. We sniff under each other's armpits and behind each other's ears and the backs of each other's necks. We're both sassy and a little confident, and I see now that all the time that I was trying to get out of the dust, the thing is, I am what I am because of the dust. And what I am is good enough. Even for me. I point my fingers at the keys and I play. Thank you. Oh, and next is Sally with her HI. Stella with her HI. Sorry, I don't have my glasses.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, my dears. My name is Mildred, and I'm here today to tell you about the amazing Lifesaver button and how it truly is a lifesaver. I'm a woman who values her independence, and the Lifesaver button allows me to stay in my own home, yet gives me and my family the peace of mind that comes with knowing someone is always there for me in an emergency. I never thought I'd need a button like this. I used to always laugh at all those commercials with the feeble old women falling over, yelling their heads off about how they couldn't get up. That's not going to be me, I said to myself. I'm never going to need to press some button to alert the authorities, who have plenty of better things to do, to let them know that I had a slip and fell in my kitchen while making a plate of nachos that I shouldn't be eating in the first place, not with my blood pressure the way it is. Well, I'm not laughing anymore. Hello, my name is Stella Ordonez, and this is Falling and Not Getting Up by Bobby Keniston. 6 months ago, I went into my kitchen to get a glass of water. I had just done my daily 12 miles on the elliptical machine, so I was feeling pretty good, even though I was all sweaty and stunk to high heaven. Well, as I go over to the sink, my cat, Mr. Fourpaws Hufflepuff, just runs between my legs and trips me. Well, I fall hard to the cold kitchen floor, and I don't know if it was the force of the fall or the 12 miles, but I could not get up. I was as helpless as a beetle on his back. I just lay there, kicking my legs around, trying to move myself with my arms, but it wasn't happening. Well, the wind was knocked out of me for a bit, but as soon as it came back, I started to holler for help, of course. Well, Mr. Fourpaws Hufflepuff comes over and just sits on my chest and looks down in my face, not looking sorry at all. And then he starts knitting, the way cats do, digging his claws into me. Well, I tried to shoo him away, of course, but he just looked down at me as if to say, "Ha, old lady, look who's in charge now!" And then he laughed. Well, his eyes laughed. I could tell. He's always been a wicked cat, that one. Well, after about 5 hours, he finally got bored of tormenting me and wandered off. I was beginning to panic. 5 hours is a long time to be on the floor, especially for a woman like me. I've always been so active. Well, just about then, I hear the screen door in my kitchen open and slam, and my best friend Gladys, she calls out, "Yoo-hoo, Mildred, I've got your cookie platter." I loaned her my best cookie platter against my better judgment because she used to be my friend. I should have known better than to lend it to a nitwit like Gladys because the second she sees me on the floor, she screams her fool head off and drops the platter on the floor, smashing it to pieces. "Ah, Mildred, what happened?" "What did it look like?" I said, pretty steamed about the platter. "Oh, it looks like you've fallen and you can't get up." No, I mean, that put a burr in my craw because of all those old lady commercials. And so I said, "No, my stupid cat tripped me and I just can't seem to move right now." Well, Gladys starts over to help me, and I was about to warn her that her shoe was untied, but it was too late. She trips on her shoelace and comes crashing down on top of me, her fat face hitting me right in the stomach. Now, once again, the air was knocked out of me, but I just about lost it nonetheless. I told her to get off me with as much air as I could muster. Gladys just turns her head out of my stomach and starts whining. "Oh, Mildred, I was only trying to help, and here you are, yelling at me." I told her I hadn't asked for her help, and I certainly didn't ask for her to smash my best cookie platter and drive her thick skull into my stomach. Well, that set her off even worse, and she starts screaming like a branded cow, talking about how she probably broke her hip and my homeowner's insurance should have to pay for her medical costs and all that nonsense. I mean, who invited her over? She barged right in. It's my fault that she can't tie her own shoelaces and weighs a ton. Well, Gladys calmed down a little bit after that, and we were just laying there on the floor for the next 2 hours. Gladys complained about how much I smelled, and I told her that at least I worked out and took care of myself and wasn't a fat pig like her who was sweating from just lying on the floor. I think it was about that time we decided it would be best if we weren't friends anymore. Still, we were in this situation together, so we might as well be civil. Well, just about then, we hear the screen door open again, and in comes Gladys's deadbeat son, Thaddeus. It's shameful. He's a 41-year-old man who still lives with his mother and does nothing but play video games all day. He has a long, greasy-looking ponytail and is at least 40 pounds overweight. Well, he comes in, he just calls out, "Mom, are you in here? When are you starting dinner?" As if he wasn't old enough to make his own dinner. Well, Gladys starts acting as if the cavalry's arrived instead of her loser offspring. "Oh, Thad, thank goodness you've come." Well, Thaddeus walks over and sees us lying on the floor, and his face takes on the expression of a befuddled elephant. "Hey, what are you guys doing on the floor?" And Gladys chimes right in with, "We fallen and we can't get up. And once again, this makes me mad. So I yell out, no, my evil cat tripped me, and then your fat cow of a mother who can't tie her own shoelaces came crashing down on top of me. Well, Thaddeus just looks down at us and starts laughing like an asthmatic hyena. And Gladys, just when I thought she couldn't get any stupider, starts laughing with him. Can you imagine? Well, it's just then that I notice Thaddeus isn't wearing any shoes. He comes into my house barefoot, the slob. Well, he starts over to help us up, and wouldn't you know it, he steps on a piece of broken glass from the smashed cookie platter. Well, he starts hopping up and down on his good foot, crying like a little baby, until his good foot lands on another piece of glass, and he comes crashing down on his mother, who is then smushed more into me. Well, finally, Thad rolls off his mama and starts dragging himself towards the door, supposedly going for help. Well, he reaches the door and he starts trying to pull himself out with his arms, but the door slams on him and he gets stuck. Well, he starts crying again, but over the sound of his blubbering, I can hear sirens. Turns out one of my other neighbors, the crazy guy with the blue hair who never goes outside, heard me and Gladys screaming and called the cops. Well, the police arrive and they see this strange man stuck in my screen door, and so they get on their megaphones saying, "Don't move or we'll shoot." And Thaddeus just starts screaming and screaming, "No, don't shoot, I'm too young to die." It took the police 45 minutes to approach the house and find us all. Now here it is, 6 months later. I've been sued by my former best friend and her failure son for physical and psychological damages, and I'm ordered by the court to wear this ridiculous button. And as part of my community service, I have to come on here and talk about how great it is. Well, let me tell you something. If you ever find yourself falling, just use the lifesaver button. Might not save your life, but hey, at least you won't lose your best friend or your favorite cookie platter. Thank you. Next up is Sally Chapel doing her solo. Yes, Sally, I love you. Thank you.
Am I in view here?
Mm-hmm.
Am I in here?
Mm-hmm.
That should be good.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
You see, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but what are friends for? I hope you think of me as a friend. Someone who's concerned about your welfare. No, not welfare. Yes, welfare. Not physical, but mental, emotional. Fulfillment. That's the word. That's what I was going for. Someone who's concerned with you, filling your desires now. What are your desires? Hi, I'm Sally Chapel, and today I'm going to be performing Hard Hat Area by Shel Silverstein. Just a content warning, this piece does contain discussion of suicide. Okay, more money, more ladies, more fame. Some fame, some glory. The usual stuff. What is your main desire? Not having all those other desires. What is your number one desire now? That's what I'm getting to. If your desire is so, improve your lot, to gain in, to accumulate, to raise yourself. If that is your desire, then to do that, what is the first thing you need to do? Square things with the local? Maybe. Apologize to Steph? Possibly. Patch things with Grinsky? Maybe. But what is the first necessity? The first requirement? I mean, humility is a quality, attribute. It's essential. But what is the first essential? To live. To live is the first essential to accomplishing anything. Am I right? Can you accomplish one thing if you don't live? Wait, can you think of one person who's accomplished anything before their death? Yes, you can be famous, but that's not you doing it. It's the cumulative effect of your work. The work you leave behind. Are you leaving any work behind? And I mean work, not just labor. I mean a message that can someday be... Okay, so, if the thing is to live, that means we must do what? Preserve life as best we can. We can all get hit by lightning. We can fall off a girder. But to do all within our power to preserve our lives? Okay. Okay. So that includes wearing a hard hat in the hard hat area. Not that that's the key. Not that that's the thing that's making you an octogenarian. God knows you can get cancer. You get hit by a truck. But to wear a hard hat in the hard hat area. As a simple precaution to sustain life. Now if your desire is not to sustain life, then I say, end it. End your life. You didn't expect that to happen, did you? You didn't. Do you remember what I was saying at the beginning of this conversation? I said I was concerned with your, not welfare, but fulfillment. Exactly, which means I want you to get what you want. What more can you wish, person? And I'm not judging right or wrong. What did I just say? Oh, you want to die. You should die. You didn't expect me to say that, did you? You see, I'm not one of those people who's been preserving life at all costs. You want to die? I say die, but I mean do it. Do it. And I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying do it if you really want to. Do it, I swear. Jump off a girder, swallow a bunch of sleeping pills, but sitting in a hard hat area with no hard hat? What is that? It's wishy-washy. Mamby. Gosh, if a beam falls and kills me. What kind of movie is that? The odds are so remote. Not that it couldn't happen. Hey, that's why I'm wearing this. It could happen. But that's not taking destiny into your own hands. It's not preserving life or embracing death. What is it? Well, I know what it isn't. It's neither here nor there. Okay, I've said it. It's off my chest. One man's opinion, for what it's worth. I'm not gonna nag you. I'll never bring up the subject again. Thank you. And next up, we're gonna have a Zella solo.
I mean, it's too loud. Your medals are glorious.
Hey.
My name is Iselomir Montes, and this is For Who the Bell Like Tolls by Karen Hess. Professor Nelson? Hi. Do you have a moment? I just got my paper back and I was a little upset. Cindy DeVero, English 101, your 8:30 class. All semester. Well, actually, I missed a couple of classes last year because I had like this really bad sinus infection thing, and back at the class usually. I'm running a little late. The pierced navel! That's me. Anyway, do you have a moment? Thanks. So like I said, I got my paper back and it was surprising. And I thought that I just had it here. I thought that I'd actually been doing pretty well, and that was, I just had it. And sorry, it's kind of a mess. I went out for a coffee afterwards and my latte was filled a little high. Christian Myth and the Old Man at the Sea. D+. That was what really kind of got me, Professor Nelson. It just seemed kind of low. And I was even thinking about, becoming an English major. And so it wasn't really ideal. And you would have no way of knowing this, Professor Nelson, but I like to read. And I write poetry and songs sometimes. I even got offered to do like this coffee house thing. I was gonna tell you about it. It could even be like a field trip thing. So English would be kind of perfect. And then this D kind of dashed it. I'm not saying it's a perfect paper, but I handed it in to my roommate Sylvia before turning in, and her father's a professor at Brandis. And she said that he wouldn't give it anything less than a B+. She said that he would think it was that good. Well, I know, but it meant a lot that she had said that because she's pretty smart and all, and I know that people probably have different opinions of papers, so that's why I came to you. Yeah, of course I read it. I really liked it. I mean, honestly, I didn't get through the whole thing. Page 52. Well, I planned to read it over the break, and I meant to, but I just got kind of jammed with other things, and didn't get through it all. But there was this guy in my hall, he read it in high school, and he told me all about it, so I like totally knew it. Well, I know it's not a substitute for actually reading it. That's why I wouldn't give it an A, not even an A- even. What? Hemingway? Didn't I spell that right? It's wrong? Oh, Ernest? That's wrong too? Well, I had it that way, but in the spell checker thingy said that it was wrong. And Hemingway wasn't even in the dictionary, if you want to know. Okay, so wait, what about like the body of the paragraph? Like right here, these are my own actual words. Can't you tell? Oh. What do you mean by run on? Run on? Uh-huh. Oh. Well, did you specifically tell us that we couldn't use those? Oh, well, if you didn't specifically tell us that we couldn't use those, then how was I supposed to know? I was just like collecting ideas here. I didn't know we were going to be graded on the actual writing part of it. That wasn't really clear to me, Professor Nelson, and I bet... Okay. What else? He dies? Oh my God! Are you sure? But that's not what the guy told me. No, he said that the old man cooked a fish over an open flame with a bunch of his friends. That's where I got my whole Last Supper idea thing from. That's my whole theme. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that guy lied to me. don't you think he should be brought on some honor code charges or something? Lying to me like that? I mean, here I get a D plus and he gets off scot-free. Well, I know that I should have read it, and in a perfect world I would have. But that's actually kind of a stupid ending. I'm just telling you how I feel, Professor Nelson, and I know a lot of people would agree with me. Well, it's an okay ending for older people, but okay, sorry. Do you know what's really upsetting, Professor Nelson? Here I am, like this freshman, trying to go through college, and it's a real adjustment. I have so many things that going on that you don't even know about, and I gotta tell you, I don't think very much of the school, Professor Nelson. I mean, my father is paying like $25,000 a year just to send me here, and I haven't learned a thing. I had this really great job at the Limited this past summer, and I could have stayed there and done that and had some money, but instead, I come here because I want to learn and to grow, and because people said that I had potential, and if I could just get my act together. My father will kill me if I get a D in this class. I promised him that after high school, no more Ds. Maybe if I could just do like an extra credit project or something, like sing some of my songs or read some poetry, that would be good. I was kind of hoping for my English grade to bring up my cum, and well, so do you think there's any way you'll change my grade? What? Why not? Even if I came to you? Well, I'm sorry, Professor Nelson, but what is the point of having office hours if you're not going to change the student's grade? What? You can't do that! When I said change my grade, I didn't mean lower it. That is total bogus. You know, I wasn't going to say anything before, Professor Nelson, but I have to tell you, nobody really thinks very much of your class. Nobody. Everybody says it's boring as crap and that you should be turned out to pastor. I don't know what you're getting so snotty at me for, Professor Nelson. It is not my fault that your class is boring. If this is the way that you treat conscientious students, I would really hate to see how you treat the slackers. Just see if I come by and get help from you again. Thanks so much. It is my esteemed honor to welcome Hannah for her HI.
Ah, I came in from the right side of the screen instead of the left. Alright, is that in the view?
All good.
Alrighty.
Ready?
Yes. Alright, before I'd like to begin, I'd just like to say thank you all once again for watching, and thank you Coach Hannah for such an amazing year. And also, thanks to everybody else for these amazing pieces. Alright, without further ado, this is Finishing School by John C. Havens. Oh, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Smithers, good morning. Did you have a nice drive up past all the lovely foliage? Our school has some of the best in the area. We have award-winning high biscuits. Speaking of biscuits, would you like one? Nice chalky bicky with some tea? No? Hot water? Steamed milk? How about stamps? Do you enjoy them? I am an avid collector. I actually have 278 different stamps that all feature different pictures of melons, if you can believe that. There's cantaloupes, guava, muskmelon. Pardon? Oh, well, I believe it's called muskmelon, or perhaps that's the cologne I'm wearing. Anywho, I also collect coins with pictures of figs on them. Unfortunately, there's only one I have so far, and... What? Stalling? Stalling? That's such a funny thing for you to say, because I would never do that. It's such a funny joke. And oh, that reminds me of a joke. I I have to tell it in a Russian accent. Comrade, what do you call coffee that makes you faint? Joe Stalling. Get it? Joe Coffee Stalling. Joe Stalling. Right. Well, I suppose as it is the end of the semester, you'll be wanting to see little Reginald. Yes. Lovely. Let me begin by saying that I appreciate that by having your son attend here, you have put your most sacred trust in me in my finishing school for young boys. And that is why it is with deep regret that I must inform you that dear Reggie is dead. Now, I can surmise by your collective expression that you will require an explanation as to your son's earthly removal. Fair enough, you did have a rather long drive to get here, after all. Past on the foliage. Did I mention the hibiscus? Ah, yes, I did. You see, in the short time your blessed urchin was amongst us, he alone was the catalyst for the mental derangement and or physical incapacitation of 3/4 of my student body. Lovely Reggie, spawn of your loins, revelled in terrorizing all his classmates by engaging in such quaint and, shall I say, banal pranks such as hooking up electrical wires to the urine on the boys' room. Suffice it to say, being awoken from your slumber at 3 a.m. to the unholy shrieking of a 10-year-old boy is not, as nice say, eating a lovely ripe watermelon with a bit of brown sugar. In fact, I still remember vividly what Tony McDoyle said as he came howling out of the bathroom that morning. It was his yelling that awoke me, you see. The poor lad was already the target of so much ridicule, what with being the only Irish student in the whole school, and having a rather horrid lisp. I mean, shut up me body, and now I mean, the birds! Then there was a time Reggie put gunpowder on one of the cricket balls. I should point out here, Mr. and Mrs. Smithers, that your son did receive an A in chemistry before his untimely dismissal. Nevertheless, as I was saying, our cricket master, Fergie McBatty, was teaching a group of students how to hit at cricket a few months back. He asked for a new ball, and Reggie, an uncharacteristic show of people obsequiousness, volunteered to get a ball from the sports shed. I shall relate the rest of the story to you, as Mr. McBatty did from his hospital bed a few weeks ago. The poor man had all of his hair singed off from the blast. Aunt Fergie was not a handsome man to begin with. His beard and bushy eyebrows were welcome cover of his rather, shall we say, orangutanian features. So there I was teaching me 9 o'clock cricket class when we little Reg volunteers to get me a ball. Mind ye, I was a wee bit suspicious what with Reg pulling his usual prankies, but I thought I cut the lad a brekkie. This was my fatal error. Oh, I tossed the ball in the air and struck it with all my might. And mind ye, I'm no dandy. But when me bat hit that range of spirit, it cracked like a bar of a rodeo clown's noggin. Gunpowder exploded all over me face and me neck, and all my hair was singed off in a wee bit of a second. Thanks be to Wattle, Catherine said the cricket didn't actually hurt too much. I just looked like a circus freak with my bold noggin sounding like a new Riles of rice. I'll think it to keep Reggie far away from Fergie McBatty me cricket field from now on. I can't afford another tenderising from the little whipper snapper. And so, those who survived Reggie's escapades, such as this one, other earthly romps such as Big Spider in Sleeping Mouth Gag, retained much psychological damage of actually escaping physically unscathed. And so, myself being a main target of your son's sadistic ministrations, found myself one bright fall morning at the bedside of none other than the range tot we all know, knew, and once loved. I smiled to myself warmly, as I remember with great fondness the time he hung my under trousers from the flagpole, and what a treat it was when he burned me in effigy, right as my parent-teacher conference was ending. Oh, yes! That was a real chuckle and a half. I remembered all these things as I stared down at your slumbering child's cherubic little countenance. Right before I smothered him with this stuffed pony toy. Oh, what's that, Mrs. Smithers? Oh, that was a birthday present from you. It's lovely, really, very realistic coloring. And pleasingly thick. And so, in summation, due to his Kafkaesque treatment of myself and his peers, I think it fair that it was I who was the instrument of your precious child's demise. And mind you, there were many more who would have soon taken the same course of action as I, the constabulary included. I marveled at how simple it was to gingerly place my two hands around your son's pony toy, and press at Reg's foul little kumquat noggin till the raspy guttural demon's breath of that foul and wretched hatchling of Satan passed no more through his blackened lungs to our precious earth! Die, you wretched, twisted cretin! Well, of course, you will be receiving a full refund of Reggie's tuition, and surely you'll be wanting personal articles and such. His body, unfortunately, is unavailable, as the entire student body and I burned it in an ebullient frenzy while dancing round a fabricated maple and scattered his ashes to the four winds. I have, however, crumpled a chocolate biscuit into a tin in the wake of proper ashes. Here! So sorry about choking your son to death and all that. Well then, speaking of biscuits, anyone for tea? Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right, and that concludes our 2021 showcase. I'm gonna have the kids come back in here in a minute. They're making their way over from the library, and as they're coming over, I just really want to thank the community for joining us, for the support that has been shown throughout the season. You guys can come in, come join. As they gather, weighted down by their heavy metals. All right, are we all visible? So with everybody here, I just really want to make my statements known on the record, just how incredibly grateful I am to get to come and hang out with these guys twice a week throughout all of this, and how much that we have dealt with and overcome. These guys really have been just an absolute joy, and they have brought so much light and laughter into my life. I especially want to give my thanks to those of us who will not be returning next year, which will be Stella, Zella, Eli, Hannah, who are all going on to do great and amazing things. They have been some of my favorite people over the last few years, and I'm a little bit heartbroken at the idea of not getting to see them every week because they have just been, they've just been stellar. And watching them grow and change over the last few years, it's been a gift. So to you guys, I just want to say thank you for everything that you've given to me and everything that you are going to give to the world as you move on from here. That's about it. In these times of COVID, since we're all masked, I think we're allowed one quick group hug as long as we all hold our breaths. So 1, 2, 3, take a deep breath and make a hug. I love you guys. All right, thank you all so much, and we will see you down the road. Have a great weekend. Bye. And we'll wave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's like we're on PBS
Bye
and they
now,
just keep waving
bye-bye.
until
Thanks to viewers like you.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
baby.
yes, our babies.
Literally.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, baby.
All right. I think that's it from us. We can file away.
That was so fun. Do you guys want to do it again?
Let's do it again!
All right, now that was a good practice run, guys.
I don't know what this room is.
See, it's funny because it's not true.